Hello everybody and welcome to the Q&A. Originally this was supposed to go after the snack shots, the sun-kissed extra, and it was supposed to be one big video, but the snack shots ran to about 3 hours and I have a feeling they may run longer at other times. So we're just going to do it as a separate Q&A thing. Sheepy, are you recording? I am recording indeed. First question down. Boom. Knocked it out the park. So, if anyone would like to ask questions about anything to do with Sunkissed, feel free. I do have some questions I can draw from that I've gathered from around the place. The Discord, the YouTube videos, etc. Is this vampires? This is vampires. You have a question for Hydra? So, question for Hydra is perfect thing to save for Hydra slash Max, you know, Q&A with thing. Why are you so mean to Tess? Because I said to Vandy, hey Vandy, I have an idea for your character. Do you want me to tell you about it? Do you want to give it the thumbs up? Or do you just want to say yes and not know anything about it? And Tess said, and Vandy said, yes, don't tell me anything about it, just do it. So here we are. Will there be a concept art of the car? I am not that good at drawing, and I have no intentions to do any art currently, but honestly, I may commission character art at the very least at some point, depending on how the show does and how interested people are in it. 1, we need more, not a question. 2, we need to kidnap Josh to get us Conan special. I believe we were considering doing a Conan special, well, a Conan extra snack shot episode. But we decided to go with the play and with the theater. Possibly next time we do a Cassius episode, like small short episode. We'll maybe do one with Conan specifically. Have you filled the majority of the map out with different factions? Can they buy the car? Yes, any of the factions can buy the car if it is put up for sale in the Oasis. And I have the map is filled with factions. Not all of them have territories. Not all of them are obvious. So there are many instances where there's a faction and there's no map. They're not on the map, or they're, you know. So yeah, there's. If you're asking if there's more to the map, yes, there is. Quite a bit more. Is Tess's crush, when you say character art, is Tess's crush into women? Do you mean Lamia? Is Lamia into women? I mean, that hasn't been shown. She flirted with both Tess and Cassius. So, take from that what you will. You have to watch the scene and just be like, you know, try and figure out what's going on. Like the players had to, and the characters. Can the car be bought by Lonnie? Why do you assume there's a Lonnie? Lonnie so far is literally just the license plate of Winnie's car. There is always a Lonnie. There is always a Lonnie. So yes, those are answers to those questions. When Cass and Chrys came first time to Kafka, later told them that Winnie came with a creepy enforcer. Was it confirmed that it was Saturday? I don't believe it was confirmed to be Saturday. And I believe Kafka said something along the lines of like him and his enforcer. I don't think he said that he came to Kafka, but he did mention an enforcer. And you can probably take a little bit of guesswork and say that it was probably Saturday. I can't tell you for sure whether it was or not. Lamia is actually Lonnie in disguise. That would be a horrific troll, and I would never imagine doing it. I would never imagine anything like that. I'd never do anything like that. Never. Who's Sheepy's favourite NPC? Clay Fraser. Especially after last episode. I think he's a great way to instigate the players. I think he's a great driving force. I think he's a great character because he hasn't done anything wrong. Not really. Because if you were to go to anyone and say, you know, would you get so pissed off with someone for stealing your breadsticks, or like for taking a breadstick or whatever, I don't think anyone would say they'd punch the person who did that. Josh was so salty at the end of episode 9. Yeah, it's not a question. I mean, he was, yeah. Where is Saturday? Saturday is on the map somewhere. He is in the city still. I can tell you that. To repeat what I asked in Discord, why are you not using Chronicle Tenets? Do you mean like the coterie what are they called? Oh god, my brain. Yeah, do you mean like the coterie no, I'm on the wrong thing here. Do you mean like the coterie convictions? I'm not sure what you mean by Chronicle Tenets off the top of my head. To repeat what Clay is such a troll and I love it. I mean, Clay is a troll, but there's always a reason behind him doing something. Even if it is just like because I can and because it's easy and because it's funny type of thing. Like, that's the interesting thing about Clay that I really enjoy is you can never tell if he's doing something because he has like an ulterior motive or someone's paid him to, and you can't tell really if he's doing something because he just finds it amusing or because he wants to fuck with someone, which I think is really interesting. Who else sprite animal is Clay? I may need that worded to me in a way I understand. Troll question, is Saturday another faction? No. He could be in another faction. Is Cass's curse of being forgotten a major plot point prepared from the start? It was something that I prepared from the start. It is not a major plot point that I worked out with Josh or anything like that. There are aspects to it. I wouldn't say it's a major plot point, but it's a major character point because of how important it is to Cassius. Spirit animal. Who? Oh, wait. So, like, whose spirit animal is Clay? I don't think I quite get the question still. Chronicle tenets, as in the moral rules that apply to everyone, like thou shalt not kill, save in self-defense, for the examples. I think that sounds like the Chronicle tenets, or not the Chronicle tenets, the coterie, the coterie convictions, I guess. We do have that. It just hasn't come into play yet because they weren't really a coterie yet. So, is Gimlet playing all sides? I mean, that would kind of give it away if I told you. So no, as far as you can tell, he's not. Clay is great. Like when he dropped inside info about Old Guard in church, it looked like it was tongue slip, but he never did that without reason. I mean, what did he say in the church that slipped anything about the Old Guard? Cyril. Do you mean Cyril or Xiomara? The guy with the hard name from the old guard was using Mask of a Thousand Faces, wasn't he? I can tell you for a fact, he was not. VTM mechanic question. Is true faith only for Second Inquisition, or could Kine also be true believers? True belief is available for all people as long as they truly believe in God and believe in their religion. Where are Selene and Cable on the map? You see the top area. There's like two like square white fields. They're on the right square right field within. There's like a grey outline if you look carefully. That's where Selene and Cable are. And is not true faith more rare? Well, you've only seen one person with true faith. Theory. I suspect Winnie may have had more childers who have the same curse put on them for protection or other plan. It's a good theory. And I understand why you don't ask that as a question, because it would kind of be a spoiler or whatnot. What I can tell you is a counter theory that some other people have had is that Clay is Winnie's other child. He sired Clay as well as Cassius, which would make it Cassius and Clay. And would I do that? Hold up, a kindred? Can a kindred have true faith? I don't know. Maybe it'd be interesting. No problem, Mark. Did you see the area where Selene and Cable are? I totally forgot about Carrion. How can I refresh my memory? So Carrion haven't come into play too much. The only person with Carrion they've met is Kafka. But Carrion doesn't have much territory because it doesn't need it. They're information brokers, message runners, all of spies, all that type of thing. They're all Nosferatu as far as anyone's aware. And that's what they tend to do. Clay is the enforcer. That would be interesting if Clay was the enforcer for Winnie and he was talking about like a bygone time before, you know, maybe before Cassius came about and they were working together, etc. That's a good theory. Can you remind Winnie's description? Oh, Lord, you're interesting. So Winnie is Native American. He's from the Mohawk. And his name, which is Winono Vapona, give me a second here. Means trusty bear walking into shade. Which I thought was quite nice. And you can see on the map all of the like names of the factions. I think we've gone through most of them. Obviously, there's not anything known about the Blessed. But what I can tell you is on the far right of the Blessed's territory, as you look at the map on the far right, on the far right of the map is where the church cathedral that Mac went to is. And at the bend of the river, down by the bottom of the map, where the river like bends to go straight south, that is where the secret path of stones are. I will put it in the map, but I haven't done that yet. And you can see also that I've increased the territory to show you exactly where the territories are for the coterie. And I would also change their name to Memorii. Memorii. Is Chrys's animal form a baby bear? It is not. You will find out next Monday, though, what it is. You change idea plan if you found a good idea that you like from Q&A. Would I change would I change an idea or a plan or like a story point if someone said something really interesting in the Q&A and I was like, oh, that's a good idea, and then kind of like take it? Probably not. Not unless it was something extra that wasn't already in my plans. I wouldn't change my plans. I might add something new in if it was a really cool idea. But I feel like part of the point of a sandbox is to have things as they are and allow your players to experience them as planned. So if you change things like halfway through and like say the encroaching wilds were actually werewolves, you know, and they were hiding that shit or something, I don't know. And then you know, like, and then someone gave me the idea to make them actually like, you know, something else, like were hyenas or were or like just shapeshifters of some kind, you know. And I'd be like, I'm not answering questions as to what Chrys is, what Chrys's form is. As I said, you'll find out on Monday. Although I do like that you guys are so curious because it means you're excited to find out. So yeah, so I'll say no. I wouldn't change anything, but I would possibly take something new if it was interesting. Although that would probably mean I have to make more NPCs, and I'm already over 170. So let's pull back a little bit, see if I missed anything. Chrys, Tash's animal has to be a cat. I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna skip over all of the guesses as to what Chrys's animal form is. I know that gravestone is something else than Fae or other supernaturals, but it would be interesting if he's an earthbound. They are way older than Fae, as I remember. I don't know what earthbound are, but I can go and look it up. I mean, it might fit. Does Weirgate have a police force? Where are they? Weirgate does have a police force, but it is heavily influenced and entrenched by the Camarilla. So that's why we haven't really seen too much from them. Because they're all, well, they were all Gould and under the control of the Camarilla. Which means, you know, like, Talia has picked up some of the slack because she's very influential and all that type of stuff, and so is Calig. But the, you know, like, as they kind of get out of being Gould and all that type of thing, things may change. Where is Max Theatre / Cinema? Max Theatre / Cinema is the tiny orange square just above Gorbin's territory in Sunnytown. It's just below the W and N of Sunnytown. So more fluffy, no change sandbox. I don't know what that means, but Ajay, I feel like past Q&A have a major impact on previous session. Should we drop an aptitude a little bit? May have to rephrase that. I'm not sure what that means. We all know Chrys's. We will all know Chrys's animal form soon enough. You will. You will. Is it possible that no kind have seen balls of fire during the incident? No, they did. They did. It was reported on the radio as well. And yeah. Earthbound, demons that were summoned from Abyss by prehistoric sorcerers who bound them to places or things and worshipped them as gods. Oh, that you know, that's fairly close. What player moments or choices thus far have surprised you as a GM? The biggest one is definitely Tess opening the letter. I think the second one was... another one would be none of them really wanting to fight or attack Clay. I assumed they'd be a lot less cautious at the beginning and after a few like encounters, and as things got more and more dangerous, they'd be much more, and you know, like the possibilities are there, they'd be much less cautious. But I think because 3 of the players are new to the system, they're new to Vampire the Masquerade, I think they were, you know, just taking their time, and they were enjoying the RP, and then they were, you know, not sure how far they want to go, and that really helped them as characters as well. What is on the gravestone that Tess painted on the car? I don't know. You'd have to ask Vandy or Tess. Did all of the Malkavian get the same radio station? They did not actually, no. A couple of the Malkavians had different things happen to them, is the best I can say. But yeah, no, it is like a public secret, I guess, in the city around certain people. You know, that like someone burst into flame here, or there was like a fireball. The majority of it was behind closed doors, though, because the majority of Kindred don't feed out in the street or, you know, wherever. So a lot of it was very easy to cover up, or just wasn't seen at all. And this is the thing, is like, keep in mind, guys, a lot of the stuff that you saw was from the perspective of the coterie only. So you didn't see the machinations behind the scenes in the first few nights of Lamia and Kale and Talia and Calig and Gorban and everyone. You know, like, there was a very quick expanding and grabbing of territory and solidifying of power, and basically like either recruiting or gathering together gangs of, you know, kindred. What percentage of factions were discovered already? Do you mean at this exact point, Elthane, that you can see this map? Do you have some epic fight music for when they get into a good fight? I got a couple. This one. And I believe this one is also. And it goes into kind of like, yeah. So, where were we? We were on this. Why is Lamia's territory so small? Because it is literally pretty much just the Oasis Club. There's a couple of adjoining buildings, and that's it. And she's not really interested in territory. There are a few people who just aren't interested in territory. Like, that's one route to power. But, you know, if you're a club, for example, everyone comes to you, and it means all the humans come to you, and you have a club full of humans. Why do you need territory if you've got the humans coming to you? At this point, percentage-wise, oof, maybe a bit above 50, possibly. So, Mac considered as a great diplomat, politician by NPCs. He's probably not considered good or bad. He's probably not considered yet. I don't think any of them are particularly considered anything by any of the factions and etc. So far, who's been confirmed affected by Cass's curse, and what their clans were? So there are quite a few people who it's unclear, but confirmed would be Kafka and Gimlet, and they are both Nosferatu. How old is Cass? Cass, I believe, is in his 20s, but he's at least 10 years old as a Kindred. So I'm interested to see how the Oasis operates compared to Gimlet's, e.g. humans coming going, how the feeding goes. The big question is, what would you consider optimal in VTM? It's incredibly varied. Oh, and PCs are built optimal in any way, or just what players want to roleplay? More what players want to roleplay, but again, like the first thought for most of the players all the time is like, oh, this would be really nice, but that's just what I want to min-max to like make the best, like the strongest strength of character. Whereas I feel like I should go with this, or I kind of want to go with this for roleplay or for whatever. So that's my answer for that. So yeah, to answer the question fully, the factions we've seen at the moment is probably around about 50% of the factions. Probably a bit more than 50%. The big, okay, so Gimlet is Nos. Yeah, Gimlet is Nosferatu. His, like, Nosferatu curse is basically, he looks like a dwarf, and he's short as well, like a fancy, yeah. Are any of the NPCs min-maxed? It's a difficult question. I wouldn't, even the ones that are min-maxed for RP reasons. So none of them are min-maxed in the sense that they're like for a specific strength. Clay, yeah, I was thinking about Clay and I'm like, yes, he is, but he's so weak in other areas. And he's got so many weak points and places to be exploited from. So are you planning to have guests to play current or future NPCs? I am considering having guests in for the snack shots. So for example, I might have someone come in to play Lamia when Tess and Lamia are talking, and I'll be like a voice in the background, and I probably won't say much. I'll probably set the scene, and then it will be them role-playing type thing. Peachy would be so good, and I've mentioned it to him, so yeah. Lamia looks pretty min-maxed for social. Yeah, but see, that's the thing again, is like it's min-maxed for social, and I would say to a certain extent, some of the NPCs have a purpose, and there's a reason why. The problem is when you have all of the Kindred in the city now are younger Kindred, low generations or high generations. Yeah, high generations, I guess. They're younger Kindred, so the reason they get to the top is they're particularly something. You know, whether they're particularly social or particularly strong or particularly whatever. So in a way, it doesn't make sense if they aren't a little bit min-maxed. But they all have glaring weaknesses, glaring problems, and they're very hard to, you know. Is there a faction set up on the final edge of the group's territory in the city, and will they be turning up soon? So interestingly, I know the group were talking about walking up that area, like over the road. So I can't say whether there's anything there because it would spoil it, but I can say that we may find out soon if there is anyone there. Peachy is Lamia? Interesting. No, I think people wanted Peachy Pixelate, for those of you who don't know him. I think they wanted him as Aiden, as I remember. Yeah, you can still beat min-maxy stuff, so I'd say in design some of them are min-maxy, but in intention none of them are. Because I've made sure to give them like personality weaknesses, glaring weaknesses in their build and everything. So they're not like min-max to me means you're prepared for all situations. The closest I would say is Clay, but that is mostly because he was prepared for the situation. So blood buff helps when resisting certain things, and he obviously, like, when you have the breadstick scene, he'd already prepared because he knew what he was going to do. He knew what was going to happen in the scene. He'd already blood buffed, and he'd already got his celerity ready to go. So, yeah. And don't forget, he's also a Bruja, so he has other things that help. Would second character death would be second character death I caused for Peachy. True. Peachy, EE is Gimlet? We could have EE as Gimlet. As I said, I'm perfectly willing to get guests in, and the players seem down for it, so I can start reaching out and seeing if there's anyone who's down for playing certain characters. Actually, Coterie can fuck up Clay even now. I let them figure out how. Yeah. There are multiple ways. And you may have noticed, like, Clay when he can't get to someone, like, he couldn't get to Mac at all. Like, Mac was not annoyed, Mac was not angry, and the second he couldn't get to Mac, he was just friendly with him and chatting, and, you know, like, he did certain things and everything. You know, he still has his plans and his schemes and his wants and all of that kind of thing, but he never actually went like EE would make an interesting Clay Fraser, that's true. Being prepared for all situations is basically impossible in V5. At most you'll be mediocre everywhere. It's true. Star Wars Initiative, thank you for the raid. What's up? How's it going? Welcome. I thought that said Stuart in it active. Stuart in it active. My brain went. Can we get a short called Kale and Chips? I mean, if Kale, I liked Mac and Cheese because Mac called him, "Oh, so you're the big cheese," and I was like, that gives me an excuse to call the episode Mac and Cheese. Just finished the session. What were you? I'm assuming RP, right? What system? What episode? What were you playing? Actually, I'm doing a Q&A. You guys should be asking me questions. D&D. Desert campaign. Oh, okay. Is the name of the show Star Wars Initiative, or does the show have a different name? I can see at least 3 ways to get to Clay, but I really didn't want them went that way because Clay is a great character and actually can be useful. Clay can be really useful, which I think is one thing that I know Star Wars Initiative is the channel, but sometimes, you know, like if you don't have a name for the show, then it's just like Star Wars Initiative. You know, like Critical Role is called Critical Role. It's hard because I know more and my questions are spoilery for all of us. GP, has anyone claimed the river? How do you claim a river? Like, because you have to keep running down to keep up with what you've claimed? Seems weird. Would Fuzzy Freaks make a good Lamia? I think Fuzzy Freaks would make an interesting Lamia. Playing a Turtle Ranger. Oh. Clay is like a useful version of Cass. 1 second, wasn't Clay a harpy? Was Clay a harpy? I'm gonna have to answer that question with another question because I can't actually answer it. Cass, one day will explode from all this pent-up rage. Poor guy. Now that might be true, but it's fighting words. You can claim river with boats. Yeah, but then you have to follow the boats down the river. It's the whole thing. Fuzzy, I would really be interested to see Fuzzy play Celine, actually, yeah. Thank you for the follow. So yeah, one thing that I think we've kind of like skated around, and I haven't actually answered yet, but so one of the really interesting things that the players noticed after the session, well, I should say that Hydra and Tash noticed, is that their two faces are really, really emotional and passionate, and they get angry quite easily. Which means that the two people doing all of their diplomacy are like, maybe they're good at lying, maybe they're not, but they can be provoked into making certain actions. You know, like it's very easy for Clay to provoke both of them, especially Tess, but both of them really. So we could have Fuzzy and Bob as Celine and Kaber. We could have Fuzzy and Bob as Celine and Kaber. Oh my god. Holy shit, who else wants to see that? Yeah, see, Mac and Chrys making deals out here, learning things and getting money. Yeah, it's not untrue. I will talk to Fuzzy and Bob and see if we could even maybe do like a flashback backstory for Celine and Kaber, and we can reveal a bit of their backstory. To be honest, the other two have met people. I just expect Lamia to kill all of us. She's too hot. Lamia's pretty hot. They keep asking bigger groups to just line in under them. Well, like, this is the thing is, they have Celine as a combat fighter, and they have Chrys as a combat fighter, and then Mac is also pretty good in a fight. The other two are decent in fight. Like, they're not weak by any means, and they do have a lot of oomph with Gimlet as their kind of like economical like bargaining chip. So they've got a lot of clout. It's just like the meeting with the front could have gone a lot better. It just didn't, because Clay provoked Tess into attacking him and like storming off from the meeting, and immediately you know, Roman and the other guy were like, if this is how you're gonna act, we definitely don't want to be under you, because we'll get dragged into all this stuff. But also being allied doesn't help us, because you're reckless and you're gonna get into fights. So obviously they bailed on the meeting, and it didn't go too badly with the old guard, but the old guard are in a better position than the front. So and also they're very self-confident, as I think came off. So ultimately that whole like episode 9 2 meetings like could have gone better, especially with the front, but it's how it goes. I have concerns about Lamia. Who doesn't? Was smell coming from Cyril, emanating from his body, or was it something not of his body causing it? I think the best way to describe it is it was an aura almost hanging around him. Like it was Tess couldn't tell whether it was coming from him, like if he was a dead body, or if it was just like ingrained, you know, rotting. That like if he's around dead bodies all the time, he's gonna smell like that. Like it's gonna be encased in him. What I would say is that if he was the thing that was rotting, probably the rest of them would have like been able to smell it even a little bit. So take from that what you will. Celine, Kaber, and Winona in a London short shot. Interesting. Bringing phones to meetings didn't help. Yeah, they're proper like old school Camarilla, aren't they? If you like whip out your phones right in a meeting, they're gonna be like, oh, no. Yeah, that really didn't help. I'll answer a couple of questions as well from I've picked up from like Discord and everything. Feel free to keep asking questions, by the way, guys. Have you ever thought of doing a Game of Thrones TTRPG game? I wanted to answer this. Yes. It would be really interesting, and I think, you know, doing like the way I've done this could be applied to Game of Thrones. So, but I don't know the system, and it looks quite complicated, so maybe. With Gravestone wanting the group to spread his name, could this become a cult for Gravestone, similar to the new VTM Blood God book? That's my answer for that. I just wanted to say it because it's a really interesting thought. Sheepy, why are there 2 blank boxes on the screen? Because this is the snack shot layout, and I haven't put them on these. So I don't know if I missed it or not, but has anyone gone to look for Saturday? They really haven't gone to look for Saturday much, but I think Mac is interested in finding Saturday, so I think at some point Mac is just going to look for Saturday. But he needs like a lead to follow. That's how Mac kind of works. So currently there's no leads on Saturday, so he's like, I'll do other things until I see a lead. Wouldn't it be a laugh if it turned out Mac was a daughter or son of Cacophony? It's another one that I just wanted to say because I thought it was a really interesting question. Just wait and see when Moria comes full force on Old Guard. Yeah. I mean, if they end up in a fight, it's going to be very interesting. Mangled pork is Saturday? I was thinking Brad. You know, because Brad's so emo. I don't understand, isn't Cass a neonate and Tess a fledgling, and Chrys for that matter? Why does he allow them to speak to him the way they do? Then again, I suppose that's just my little Sombra's beast flaring up. Yeah, I wanted to address this question. We've talked about it a little bit before, but basically, like, Chrys and Tess are, technically speaking, well, they are younger than Cassius, but at the same time, Cassius has been away, and Cassius also, in a weird way, doesn't want the spotlight, but also wants the spotlight. It's just, he keeps getting the spotlight in a way he doesn't want, and keeps not getting the spotlight in ways he does want, and it's all very, yeah. That's the best way I can say it, is basically, like, he doesn't mind as much if they're disrespectful, or if they're a little bit, like, you know, cheeky and stuff, because that doesn't matter to him. But, you know, in other ways, like, it could be a problem. When do we get the Spanish Inquisition? Will anyone see it coming? No one sees the Spanish Inquisition. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. They see them when they turn up, and then they're like, oh my god, I didn't expect that. Hope that helped. I have a theory that vamps only get on fire if they drain someone dry to the point of death. And again, I just wanted to say that one because it sounded like it's a cool question. Obviously, I can't answer that yes or no, but it's a cool question. Or statement, or theory. Yeah. When Chrys spoke second time with Aiden, she was threatening him with telling about about him, Aiden's antic, to Caitlin. Don't remember the right name. Who was that? Kalen is his name. Can't really say who he is, but he's someone in Chris's life who Chrys knows, so take from that what you will. But yeah, but yes, it's Kalen, which I can put in the chat, and I'll just say it out loud for you guys. Caelan, Kalen. Has it been revealed what all the characters are? Like what type of vampire they are? Yes. So, Mac is a Malkavian. Cassius is a Brujah. Tess is a Toreador. And Chrys is a Gangrel. It's an easy question. I didn't even have to do the ooh. Does gaming FTL / Josh have a character in this game. He does. No one knows what his name is, but he does. I'm sure we'll find out his name eventually. And final question from all of the questions put out there to me. I do want to ask why on... Oh no, that's actually one that's already been asked. So yeah, that's all of the questions, I believe. Although there was one other thing that someone mentioned, which was it would be... I wonder if Winnono and Cassius are like old Brujah, like original Brujah, or true Brujah, which again would be interesting. I can't answer that, but it would be interesting. So, with all of that done, true Brujah don't exist. That's very true. So, of course, the answer is no. Of course they are. Of course they aren't true Brujah. I would never do that. However, having said that, yeah, Josh played the Cecil dude. Like, we cared about it. I'm not sure I know what that one means. How heavily have the VTM books been used as an influence for building the campaign? For building the campaign, aside from the rules of the game, not at all. I made this from scratch. The city, the idea, the bursting into flame, that story, gravestone. It's all completely my ideas. Everything to do with Tess, and like, well, everything. All of the weird spiritual thing with Tess is basically from my head. So yeah, you know, I haven't taken any story ideas or anything from the VTM books. This is all just stuff I came up with, and the idea of a fractured city and all the different factions are my ideas and all that type of thing. I mean, obviously, you know, some factions will be certain types, so you know, you could have a Hecata style something, and you know, the Old Guard obviously are based with the idea of the Camarilla in mind a bit, etc. However, does anyone have more questions? Might one say that the bursting into flame has something to do with blood potency if it removed all or most elders? Might not have anything to do. It might just have something to do with age, or like the idea that if you drain a human completely dry, that's if people set on fire with that, because younger kindred very often tend to be a bit less murdery because they haven't lost as much humanity. So, you know, that could be legitimate. It could be the blood potency thing, or just age. Like, maybe they were more susceptible to whatever it was. Again, I can't really answer that because it's a plot point that hasn't come out. It would be spoilers to give you an answer. Those are a few ideas for you guys as to like why it's happening though. So you can have a think about your theories and everything. Sheepy, have you ever thought about putting these kind of stories campaigns on Drive-Thru RPG? I'd be willing to. I never really thought about it. I don't know. I find like these are just fun for me. So, I mean, it's lovely to share the stories with you and everything, but I don't know whether anyone would be interested in... A lot of my stories require surprise and, you know, and second guessing and twists and turns and reveals and all that type of thing. So, I think you kind of maybe sometimes have to be a bit more straightforward with campaign planning if you're doing it to disseminate to people, but... Yeah, I'm happy to. Maybe I could do it as like a Patreon thing, where I make my campaigns available to download or something, and you guys can just pick it up if you're wanting to run it yourselves. Are there any laws in the city before the incident about Oblivion powers? What do you mean, TDK? I'll need a clarification on that. Do you mean like, were there laws about not using Oblivion powers, or... Yeah. I mean, in terms of lore, blood potency is a function of age and heavily correlated. Yeah, but the way XP and the game works means that, technically speaking, you could be a really young Kindred with really high blood potency, just because of the way it all works. So I don't wanna one-for-one them, just because they can be separate. I was really sad when Tess and Mac called to prison, and when they told to wait, Sheepy did not sing Angry Door Tune. Sorry, separate games. I can't cross over Vampire the Masquerade and 40k, because otherwise a squad of Chaos Space Marines or like Grey Knights would land and just purge everything, and then the show would be over. Can you improve your blood potency? Yes, it is 10 times the new level of blood potency. So if you're going for 2 dots in blood potency, it would be 20 XP. No chaos here. Don't cross the streams. So yeah, I'll ask again and see if we have any more questions that people are like burning to ask. Last episode is a great example of what you know, if there's anything from last episode that is sticking in your mind where you're like, what happened there? Or, you know, like, what do you think about this? Or, you know, whatever. 1,000 Suns shows up. Oof. 1,000 Suns. I love them, but they do have a bad tendency of showing up places you don't want them. When the city had older Kindred, was using Oblivion powers allowed? Is it usually banned by the Camarilla, would be my question, because I don't know the lore on that, personally, like whether it's usually banned or not. So I would say, depending on what the Camarilla usually have as a lore, is what it would be. Why doesn't Mac want to go to the meetings with the crew? I believe Mac doesn't consider himself to be useful with the talking. So the best in character, the best way he can be of benefit to the crew, to the group, is to be security and make sure they don't get ambushed or they're not followed or being spied upon, which is why he does that. I think Hydra probably wants to be in the conversations, but it makes more sense for his character. So that's what I'd say. 9 episode was pretty obvious. The snapshots. Was that supposed to be obvious? Because otherwise I don't know what that means. But the snapshots were very intriguing. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Is there a reason the river will remind me of EastEnders? I don't think so. It's a randomly generated river, so maybe it's just the style of map looks a bit similar to EastEnders, you know, and it like zooms in. That's mostly it. I can come back to that on the Mac Q&A. Yeah. You can talk about that on a Mac Q&A. Mac hates politics. That's why he's best in politics and all the coterie. Yeah. I mean, you saw an example. Oh, actually, do you guys want to ask any questions about the snack shots? Because we literally just had the snack shots, so you know, let's call this the section of the snack shots. And if you have any question about those, I'd be happy to answer them. And then we'll probably call it there after we talk about that a little bit. I've got a few things I can bring up about the snack shots if you guys don't have questions. Look, they give more answers than questions. I think in my answering your guys' questions, I generate more questions, which is always interesting, so enjoy that. On a scale to 1, from 1 to 10, how hypocritical is the name The Blessed? Do you mean ironic or hypocritical? I'll ask that question. And then I'll answer it when I know. For me, I was going to head back and rewatch Snack Shots, leave more questions on YouTube if there are any. Oh yeah, TTK, feel free. Like, next week we'll have another... I'll talk to the players, see how many of them want to do another Snack Shot, and then we'll record them again. And we'll do the same thing next week, next Wednesday, where I play that on stream, and then we go into Q&A, and I'll record it and everything the same way. Snack Shots were delicious. Is Tess her mother in the know of her vamp background in the Snack Shot? It seems that she knows. She does not know. So she knows about her daughter being bisexual and being interested in both men and women, depending on the people. And at the end, it may have been the dead on your feet comment. You know, oh, you're dead on your feet. That was just it's just something parents say. When their kids are working too hard, or it's just what anyone says when when someone's working too hard. But I thought it was a nice little tense moment where Tess could be like, ooh, that's a little bit true. Is Tess's father the last shogun? No. I don't think you guys know. Wait, do you have his name? I don't know whether you were told his name. Interesting. Ironic. So, how ironic is the name the Blessed? Probably like a 6 or a 7. If 10's the highest, then yeah, like a 6 or 7. Ironic. Yeah. Any more questions about the Stack Shots? Any more wonders and thoughts and etc.? Tess's full name, which we have now got, is Tessala Yoshinobu. I think Tokugawa was the shogunate, and then there was the Ashikaga shogunate like a while before that, in between the like civil war they had. So there's like a civil war in between the Ashikaga shogunate going down and the rise of the Tokugawa shogunate. So no Yoshinobu shogunate, I'm afraid, as far as I know. So yeah, that's Tess's thing. We'll find out about Chrys's shape change next episode on Monday, because that's probably what we'll start with. What is my shapeshift and why is it a kangaroo? Because of how bouncy and happy Chrys is. Like a kangaroo. Also, it's a mix of rabbit and something else, maybe. Yoshinobu, yes. One thing that I can tell you guys, if anyone's interested in knowing, is who that woman was that Cassius met. I think some of you figured it out, or all of you figured it out, maybe. But yeah. Clearly a troll, by the way. I don't think you turned into a troll. Maybe. Tess's sire is a big bad. Is he? Da, da, da. Da, 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 da. Just cut my hair, can't do troll hair. Tess is the big bad. Why do that to Chips? It's very true, but also I love that. I love that like those little extra things that I always love. Is there an overarching greater evil? This is Vampire the Masquerade, so I can say no, because it depends what you consider evil and what perspective you have on evil. Is the great overarching threat to the players a great overarching threat, or is it just a great overarching threat to the players? And is it evil, or is it just against the players? Is it evil because we like the players and the coterie, and we don't want them to lose? Or are they evil and it's actually good? Talia looked actually nice. I don't know why it's so many fuss around her. Talia, I'm assuming you're commenting about the lady in the theater, because yes, that is Talia. Except if it's the Sabbat, maybe? I don't know how to answer that. That's why I phrased it that way. Because, like, you know, is there an overarching great evil or like bad guy? Not really. Like, yes and no. That's the best way I can answer it. Like, the only way to answer it is to go into like very detailed explanation of exactly what's going on in the city and what the whole big deal is with everything. So I can't really answer it. Any more? Okay, so let's open it up to final questions. Are there any more final questions for or from anyone about Sunkist? Look, we need claim someone as Big Bad, and it's not Clay. It's not Clay. Oh, it could be Clay. He could be the Big Bad. Will there be any Kindred from outside the city, like coming in? There already have been. Not many. But what I will say is that it's easier to get into the city currently than out of the city. Like, it hasn't really been touched on, or it hasn't really been talked about. But the Camarilla and the Anarchs are both keeping an eye on the city, and they're both like, we're not really letting anyone out, just in case this is some kind of like vampire disease or something that like only kills elders. Because if the younger Kindred can figure out how it works and how to transmit it, if it only kills elder vampires, then that's a massive threat for them. So like obviously, A, they don't want to go in there because they're elder and they may die, and B, you know, they obviously don't want that getting out, so they're keeping it on lockdown. Also, will Cult of Mithras make a cameo? Are you asking that because of the whole London thing? Probably not. But you never know. Has the incident happened elsewhere, or is it just in the city? A good question. To the knowledge of the players and the people and all the characters in the area, it's just happened in that city. However, if you would like to use this like plot hook for your own game, it can totally happen in other places. Cult of Gravestone, much better. Yeah, it does seem like we might be going kind of like a Cult of Gravestone-y direction as well. So one of the things I'll talk about before we get going, basically, guys, I want to talk very quickly, and then I'm going to check for any more questions. I'll answer them up before we finish, and then that's going to be the end of this video and the stream. We'll go off raiding someone. Basically, my thoughts and my ideas behind this campaign was, while it is a lot of fun, the like purely political angle, it can be very oppressive and very oppressive in a good way, but it can be very oppressive and very limiting to always have the Camarilla and the elder vampires, you know, so much stronger than you, so much more threatening, and you always have to be watching your step. And it feels really cool to, like, you know, climb the social and political ladders. But at the same time, it would be nice to have a campaign where all of the Kindred around you are your peers. Like, they're strong in different ways. They're maybe sneakier, they're maybe craftier, they're maybe more scheming, you know, but basically all of the elder Kindred are either dead or fled the city, and there's no political structure in the city. And I was like, what are the players going to do? You know, how are they going to react? How's everyone going to react? You know, like, because I'm playing this out for the factions as we go as well. So things may change. Like, if Talia gets one over Calig, she could easily eat a bit of his territory, or push him back, or kill some of his kindred, etc. And there have been a fair few fighting and a fair few deaths in the shadows and known about in the city already. And that's what I basically wanted to do for this show, is run a kind of like sheepdog style sandboxy Vampire the Masquerade, but with a heavier focus on roleplay and all that type of thing, which I've been really enjoying, and it seems like you guys enjoy it too, so I'm happy about that. For Tash's benefit, what was in those boxes? Vials of the poison used to set all of the vampires on fire. To be they was being moved to be mass produced. Now, did I answer that honestly? Clan Tremere? I don't think that's the question. Plot question: did the new minister from the church arrive before or after the burning incident? Before. Blair. Yes, for those of you wondering, it has been asked before, but I will reiterate it. There is a drunk Tremere in the city, and he is somewhere, and he is alive. He is the only one who avoided the He's the only one who avoided the what's it called, kidnappings, hostage taking. Saturday is a Tremere. Saturday could be a Tremere. Aside from everyone always saying that he's a Malkavian, but he could be a Tremere. Who is the current eldest vampire that is known about in the city? Good question. Good question. Yeah, I mean it's not because he's not eldest. He's just the oldest. It's Clay. Clay is the oldest. Avoided or organized? Any Banu Hakim, La Sombra, Ministry in future episodes? That's an interesting question. I'm not going to answer it, but it's an interesting question. I feel like I'm constantly giving difficult questions. No, that was a legitimately interesting question, because like I knew the answer, but I hadn't thought anyone was going to be like, oh, who's the eldest? But yeah, it's Clay. Clay Frazier is the eldest vampire, and he's not that old, so. I don't trust Cheapy about those boxes. Not a question. I don't know how I'm going to find out as Chrys, though. Also not a question. Our Lord and Saviour Clay. Also not a question. I don't care about Saturday. Where's the drunk Tremere? So just a little bit of info before we sign off and everything for people who don't understand the drunk Tremere joke. I was playing Vampire the Masquerade Coteries, I think it's called. New York. The kind of story, the visual novel story game for Vampire the Masquerade that came out like half a year ago or something. It came out around Christmas, I think. And I did a huge series on it. But during the series, I was voicing all of the different characters, and the Tremere character, I gave all of the Tremeres like a drunk slur for their voices. So they were like, "Hey, I mean, I don't know what it's like. It's just like kind of like bleh," and they kept going bleh, like in a kind of I'm drunk but also a vampire kind of way. And so when I announced that I was doing Sunkissed, all of my viewers, all of my regulars, said I had to do a drunk Tremere in Sunkissed. So I said, okay, there will be one drunk Tremere in Sunkissed. So there is. Because I'm a man. Coteries of New York. Thank you. There we go. December release. Yeah, so there you go. That's why there is one drunk Tremere in Sunkissed, and I'm not afraid to say it. Because, yeah. They'll have to find him first, is basically all I can say. How many embraces since the burning? That's a really good question, Elthane. But yeah, 0. Alright, let's call it there. Oh, clan question? Okay. Another question just came in. Oof. And it's from Skeltar, so I can't say no. Aren't the Tremere and the Malks closely related? I don't believe so. No, because I think Tremere were originally like sorcerers, mages, who became immortal, and it was like slightly different from the rest of the clans. Whereas the Malkavians were just from an original vampire clan. Actually, if Drunk Tremere ever found, can he help with the situation? Can he even be useful? I can't answer that, but I think it would be interesting either way for them to try and find him. Or for them to stumble upon him, which is actually what would happen. Why is Clay called a dick for making people fight, but everyone uses ore all the time like it's not comparable? Hashtag I got awed twice. It's a good question. And it's actually 3 times Hydra / Mac. Tremere and the city were pyramid loyalists or other houses? They were Camarilla aligned. To a certain extent, as all Tremere are to a certain extent. Okay, let us, before we get any more questions, let us call this episode here. So, Mondays at 7 p.m. UK time, 2 p.m. EST is when Sunkissed, the live show is. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m. UK, 2 p.m. EST is when we have the Q&A, and also we have the snack shots, the quick episodes. All of that will be on the YouTube if you want to watch them, so go ahead, feel free, give them a look. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in whichever of those times and dates you decide to come and check it out.